worldwide, he's been able to touch countless individuals around the world. We're glad to have him here today. Mas.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. And thanks for taking the time to come out here and just enjoy yourself. Like normal, I don't have anything planned, okay? Because we all live in real time, right? So we can talk about time as a function, time as a function of distortions, things like that. But again, I don't have anything planned just because I kind of tap into what you guys need and then just start answering questions. So if you have any questions, anything like that, let me know. Or otherwise, again, I can tap into you and kind of pick up on what we need to talk about. All right? Another thing is, while I'm talking on you, if you guys feel a little different while I'm talking on you, it's because I'm working on you. Just hanging around me seems to have an effect on people. So they start shifting. And we can talk about, say, the scientific way of why that works. All right? Because we're all the same. Most importantly, guys, I'm not here to espouse that I'm this fantastic individual that has unbelievable abilities, which I do, but but the important thing is that I'm here to show you that you guys are the same. You guys just kind of forgot who you really are. So I'm that individual that's saying, hey, you know, kind of wake up, you know, and you can be in these abilities, again, because we're all the same. Okay. How many people are new to me? Oh, quite a few. Well, that's awesome. Well, let's get started. Why I'm here speaking with you. Usually I'm a computer programmer, computer geek, you know. I did that for about 15, 20 years as my business, so why am I here speaking about spirituality, or not even spirituality, but just enjoying life more? Does that make sense? Enjoying life and maybe understanding religion or spirituality from what I'm kind of picking up on people, because I think nowadays more and more individuals are getting more and more confused on, say, what religious is, what spirituality is, and all that. Would you agree with me on that? So we can kind of talk about that as well, and my perspective from it. Again, my perspective is not really my perspective. It's what's out there, the general knowledge or the general database that's out there for us, okay? I just tap into it. So some of the things I say, although I say them, I might not actually act out on them. I just know. Just like reading a book, you know, it shows you how to do it and you understand how to do it. Doesn't mean that you live it. Does that make sense? Okay? So it's not my ideologies or anything like that, again, that I'm relating to you. It's something out there that we should all say or can connect into. Okay? And talking about that, the more and more, say we understand that, the more and more we come into, say, the same realities or the same conclusions. So as more individuals start understanding the wider range that's out there or the wider knowledge that's out there, again, we start coming into the same conclusions. There are no separations or anything like that as we ascend higher and higher. And that's eventually, that's how we become one. Okay? So a lot of things I'm throwing out there for you. We'll get into the details later. But just to tell you why I'm here, again, a computer program telling you or talking to you about this is I had 2 near-death experiences. The first one in my early 20s, and I'll just kind of review them with you. I had a rail car accident. I worked at a warehouse, college job. We used to unload rail cars for Target warehouse, actually. And you know, inside these moving cars, they have these moving walls to keep the product in place. One of those were stuck, so I offered to climb up and start pulling while my team members were pulling on the bottom. And all of a sudden, it gave way. And this half-ton wall just slid. And if you can imagine this wall moving across this room, the only thing that stopped it was the ceiling member and my jaw. So my jaws were crushed in that time. The highlights about that, really amazing. The first time I actually saw my physical form outside of my body, just like if you were looking at a mirror, right? You see your physical form, but your mental state goes with you. And I didn't know at the time I was dead. I was looking at myself, I'm going, wow, my head's over here, my body's over here, that must really hurt, you know? And then it's like, wait a second, why doesn't it hurt? I hadn't figured out that I was dead. I hadn't figured out that I actually had left my physical form. And I'm going, wow, this is really cool. I could be alive and still not have my body with me, you know? Or have that consciousness and have my body with me. And I was amazed at it. And then I realized it's like, oh, I'm dead. That's why. And there was a sense of beauty, actually kind of somewhat of a sense of relief too. You know, you think you'd be fearful, right? Leaving your body, coming into a new world. No, but actually it's the world that you're familiar with. This space is what you're not familiar with. So that's why it's a little tougher here. But as I ascended through the wall of the rail car, just like they do in the movies. You know, you just float through. You start seeing your life. Your life doesn't really flash through. You actually relive, for me, about 22 and a half some years. You relive that same experience. And that really distorts you, because how do you live 22 some odd years, right? In just a mere flash or just a mere few seconds. So again, time, very, very distorted. The reason why we say it flashes through is because we just don't have, say, the mental capacity, right? Or the brain power to really understand that whole time frame. It takes a lot of, say, computing power, right, to relive all that time frame. And mentally or physically, we can't do that. So that's why it just like flashes through. From that time, it wasn't my time to go, so I got pushed back in, and I did hear a voice that says, it's not your time to go. And at a spirit level, or at a spirit frequency, and we'll be talking about frequencies more, I felt this jolt of electricity that I can still feel today. Just like, and again, since there is no time function, these near-death experiences feel like it happened just yesterday. And that's how, well, disconnected it is from this physical reality. And anybody you ask that have had a near-death experience, okay, will tell you that. It just feels like it was yesterday again, because there is no time function in those realities. So, by the way, if you guys have questions, because after the stories, I'll ask questions of the audience, okay, and I'll work on you guys as well. That sound good? So if you guys come up, so think up of some good, intelligent questions, kind of questions, maybe not so personal, okay, because you don't want to tell your personal life. I pick up on everything, really, and I'll tell you some of the gifts that I've been given. But anyway, pick some general questions that might be important, you know, for the entire audience that we're here. All right. Anyway, coming back to the story, after I had my jaws unwired, because it was wired for about 3 months, I couldn't eat anything. Everything was beautiful. Everything was more in 3D, like the TV, you know, the high-def television. Everything was brilliant. I could still see, say, the spiritual colors in this physical form. Much more brilliant than this, much more 3D. You know, this world actually looked like a 2D, you know, effect after you come down. And that's where a lot of people have issues who have had near-death experiences. They come down into this heavy, this density that's here, and we don't understand some of the things that we do here. Right? So that's why they prefer to go back. So, jump forward about 20-some years or so. I drowned, my second near-death experience. We were in Belize. We were on an inner tubing trip. Got sucked into what they call a cenotes, or basically a hole, you know, in the bottom of the river that feeds underground waterfalls, caves, things like that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who have died that way. For me, it was unbelievable. I got sucked in. Again, I ascended through after I gave up or submitted my will, because I tried to hold on, I tried to crawl back, but I couldn't because the water pressure was so great in this tunnel. I tried to crawl back up, and I couldn't anymore, so I gave up. Again, just letting go, releasing, and then I ascended through the water, through the rocks, and then into, this time it was a heavenly blue space. No time, no distance, much more beautiful. So if you can imagine any joyous occasion or any beautiful scenery that you've seen, okay, multiply that by about 1,000,000 times and you'll get close to what you see up in those heavenly spaces. Again, the big deal was there was no time, there was no distance. Anything that you needed or wanted, it was there for you. You actually didn't need or want anything because you were complete in any aspect. You didn't need your kids, loved one of your kids, your family, anything like that. You obviously didn't need any money or any security or anything like that. Again, you were complete. If you needed to go somewhere, right, say you wanted to experience going to Rome or wherever, you would be there. You would be part of that essence or part of that Rome feeling. Not as if a person visiting Rome, but anyway, that essence of being there. If you wanted to be on another planet, you would be on that planet, being part of whatever's there for you. Again, picking up that essence. So again, there was no time, there was no distance. After that, though, okay, after I came back, which is another experience, and you can read up the full story on the website, but it's important to get to your questions and so on. But after that, about a month or so later, things started happening to me. I didn't think nothing of it, really. But I could start seeing, say, the auras. At first, I thought they were auras around individuals. Are you guys familiar with auras? See, I never really understood what auras were at the time, you know? Because, again, I was a computer guy, left brain, right? Didn't really get into the spiritual side. So, although I was very intuitive, I didn't know where it came from. Anyway, about a month or so later, started getting into meditations. And I've always done meditations or try to connect somehow. You know, you try to connect for just a second or two, and then you get excited, and then you jump back out. But what happened for me, I was drawn into these meditations, and they would last like 4 or 5 hours, thinking they were only like 4 or 5 minutes. So that's how powerful these meditations were. In these meditations, I was, say, trained, drawn into a lot of knowledge that we all, say, seem to thirst for of why things are the way they are. And then also having fantastic abilities, I guess, from what I hear from people. You know, initially, I'm kind of the new kid on the block. You know, initially when I was testing my abilities, I thought everybody had these. I thought everybody was, well, it just is, you know. And then there's like a lot of healers out there, or a lot of whoever out there that do energy medicines, things like that. And I'll kind of explain why I'm a little different than that. And then I started noticing that I am different. I thought everybody was, oh, you know, I'm kind of in that same space, but I guess I'm very different than from what people tell me. Okay? Some of the abilities that I have, just to give you, I kind of call myself an oracle. Yes?
I don't see or experience auras. I'm wondering, do you still see auras and experience?
Actually, oh, good question. Thank you. Actually, I don't see auras myself either. What I was seeing at the time, and I'm glad you clarified that up, what happened was when I started to see what I thought were auras, okay, I just saw this bluish space around people. Okay, same kind of blue that was in that heavenly space. Okay, I saw it around individuals, and I go, oh, once I understand more, once I say graduate, I can see the colors of the auras. You know how people see the colors of the auras? Okay, or if you get hooked up to a machine that sees auras, you can see the colors. I go, well, you know, maybe when I graduate, I'll see the auras. But basically, auras are physical energy systems. I actually see your spiritual energy system, and very few people actually see the spiritual energy system. And that's why, again, we'll talk about the physical energy systems and spiritual energy systems later. But yes, I can help people see auras, people who have their gift. I've helped a lot of healers, psychologists, Western medicine, whoever, you know, start to see or start to heal a lot better, a lot higher, so a lot faster. Chiropractics, whatever it might be for you. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, coming back, some of the abilities, again, I kind of liken myself to an oracle, you know, just because it sounds kind of cool. I used to use, you know, like healer, you know, what is it, success energizer, then I sounded like a bunny. What else was there? A catalyst, transformational catalyst, all these things. Now I'm kind of likening it to like an oracle. And you know what oracles are, right? Oracles, basically they used to see the past and then foretell the future for like kings, right? Noblemen, things like that in the past. Actually, a lot of companies still use kind of like oracle-type individuals. So the only difference between an oracle and what I do is I can actually edit your past and future for you. Okay? Most people can see things and kind of see, say, the highest possibility. Again, I can bring in different possibilities. And I know this sounds kind of strange, especially for some of you like scientist-type individuals, but it's actually, somebody hooked me up to a machine that can kind of see that in visual form, and that's what they saw. Basically, I bring in, say, different realities that's around you anyway, but I open the door so you can actually access them, okay, into those higher levels. So anyway, I can edit the past for you, or edit the future for you, or bring in different futures for you. How do you, or why would you want to edit the past, right? Because again, there is no time function. Everything kind of happens, if you want to say it at the same time, or again, kind of like the string theory that they have in quantum physics. The past is not solid or complete or written, you know, rock solid. It can change. Okay? And again, we'll talk about time a little later on. So when you edit things in the past, for example, you've had childhood trauma. Does that make sense? You've had childhood trauma. You see your life through a different perspective. You see the rest of your life through a different perspective. Okay? So when you can go back in time and say delete that time frame for you, you start seeing the experiences of the life that you've had in a different perspective. It's just like wearing a different set of lenses for you. And then what happens is your future starts to be different for you. Okay? In fact, a lot of people that I've worked on and say, you know, you go back in time and it's like you read their history. Just like logs on a computer, I can literally go back and go, oh, you know, at this time frame, this happened to you, if it's meaningful for you. You know, you delete that time frame, and then there's a gap there. So what happens, instead of me filling it in for you, people start to report, and this is I'm just reporting this back to you. People start to report, it's like, you know, you delete that time frame of like 6 to 9 years old, and then what happens is that they start reliving that 6 to 9 year old. So if you're 60, 70, whatever it might be, they start, say, acting or seeing their current life through a 6 to 9 year old. Because what they're doing, with the wisdom of what they have, you know, currently at that same age, but what they're doing is recreating that scene for them and then putting it back to where they were, what happened back then. And again, everything else, just like a wave, starts to change for them on that. Does that make sense, guys? Did I confuse you a little bit? Hope so. Kind of open you guys up. Do you guys have any questions? So let's get to the meat of things. Yes. And do you want to come up, hon? And no? I can work on you. All right. That's good too. Whatever.
I will try to ask an intelligent question. Listening to you talk about your experiences where you died, crossed over, and you were in the at one minute you were in non-physical source energy. My question is, it sounds like you believe that we truly have a set time when we will die. Like you were told, it's not your time, come back. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know, is that an accurate perception? Do you? Because over there's no time.
Right.
I even say over there, even though it's here. But
right.
if there's no time there, but it wasn't your time and you came back, do you think we all have a set time?
No, not at all.
Okay. Can you say more? Yes,
sure. Nothing's set in stone. You know, how many people think they have like a destiny or it was foretold? It's really not like that at all. There is no set time. If you truly, truly believe at your spirit level that you have a set time, then yes, you do. If you truly believe that you're going to die on a Saturday at this time, right, and you've created that, again, at a higher level or a spirit level, then yes, that is true for you. But for the most part, it's a variable. Everything is a variable at those spirit levels. So the more you expand and the more you learn, right, you can change your life structure. And that's why I always say that 90% of what happens to us is already, say, predetermined or at a default level. Okay? The other 10% is for you to open up or to understand what's there for you so you can open up into that 90%. So, and I say this, and then it's like, well, he just contradicted himself because he just said that everything's a variable then. But then how can 90% of my life have already been created, right? Just to give you the nuts and bolts, because we don't have a lot of time. Basically, again, when we start to create our life structure here, and I can work on, does anybody want me to work on them? Well, let's pick somebody new that I haven't worked on. Have I not worked on it? Okay. Anyway, so basically what happens is that, say you create a life, say you want to come into this physical form, right? So what do is you design your future from, say, your past life, okay? Past life experiences that you've had, family values, things like that. In religious form, they call it the cloth that you were cut out of, right? The sins of the father, all that stuff that they talk about in religion. That's what they're actually talking about. They're not talking about, somebody doing something bad. But again, the experiences that your family values or family has had, you have come into them, okay? So those are your default values, basically. And the reason why I call them default values, because if you don't have a default value, your life wouldn't run. Okay? Just like a computer program, your computer does not run, and sometimes you get that green screen on the PCs. Do you know what I mean? It says cannot find certain application or program. That's why that happens. You guys, we'd be frozen. Okay? So anyway, those default programs are not there to hinder you or block you, but most of us through our lifetime don't become aware that we can change those or edit those, and then we think life is the way they are because of those default programs. And then the next lifetime, we create the same default programs. So the other 10% is there for you to open up and start coming into your own powers, okay? Individuals like Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad. And by the way, I'm not pushing her or anything like that, okay? That's just her. And I'll talk about what happens for people or why that's happening for her. But anyway, like Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, those individuals, that 10% grew into like 20% or 30% or whatever, because they started creating or materializing the way they need to, the way they do at spirit level in physical form. Does that make sense? Okay. So, other questions? Again, I really don't have to pay attention because it's not me doing the healing. Again, I bring in that pure source connection, and I use pure source versus God or anything else, your higher power, because those words have like been tainted. So I'll hold on to you just in case. Yeah. Kind of a natural high, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, what happens for her, for example, again, it's not me. It's that same pure source connection that I got connected to when I crossed over. And again, there's a lot of near-death experiences that happen every day, about 800 actually in the U.S. So why am I the only one telling you? Because I managed to bring that knowledge or that intelligence from that higher realm into physical realities. Okay? Most people get distorted from that higher intelligence, and that's why, like I said, a lot of them tend to or want to say go back, so they start committing suicide, they start drinking, stuff like that, because it does or it can distort you. Okay? Yes?
Do you think that is part of your genetic heritage to have spiritual capacities within you?
Me specifically? Yes. Seems like I've always been somewhat of a teacher or somebody that has spoken, helped people open up. Yes. But again, that doesn't mean that you can't be where I am. It just means that, say maybe I'm in 5th grade while you might be in 2nd grade at that level. Does that make sense? Yeah. So again, I'm actually here to open you guys up. Whether I touch you or not doesn't really matter. And the way she works is, a lot of times we think our spirit, I don't have these, so we can grab. If there's anybody else, they can work on. Your back structure is really like stiff. So, does that make sense? Yeah, it's like really distorted up here, and it kind of comes down here. I can adjust you similar to a chiropractor. And again, no offense on chiropractors that are here. I just do it at a frequency level. So if you have a chiropractor and you go back to your chiropractor, you'll start to see actually that you can adjust a lot easier, you know, with their help. That adjustment stays a lot longer because the underlying frequencies that are in you have changed. There's two ways I help you, say, heal yourself. Whether it's spiritual or, you know, finances or relationships or, you know, in this case, physical, there's little personal type issues in your heart space, but we'll not talk about that, okay? But it doesn't, we don't have to talk about it for you to say, like, open up, okay? Anyway.
Well, somebody had a question down here, so for me.
Yes, go ahead.
I was wondering if you could describe the blue source, the pure source, the blue color. I was wondering if you could describe it in detail, because I'm trying to visualize it in my head and try to see what.
Sure. Is there anybody else new that, yeah, you want to come up? The blue.
Can I come up?
Yeah, it's really, it's kind of interesting. It's like you actually are part of that blue space, okay? So it's not like you're separate, you're not like an individual form, like looking at you, although you might feel like an individual form for that space. Again, at those levels, I was not aware of having a body. It was just a consciousness. And I was actually part of that bluish space that was there. It does have, say, texture or some kind of density from what I remember. I'm just kind of going back into it. Kind of like if you were in a fog, but that it's not like you can't see in that fog. You can see forever. Okay? Again, there is no time. I don't know how I can describe that to you.
Can you see if there's a color that you can visualize, like now?
It's the colors that are up there are very different than the colors here. Although, you know, I say blue, it's like a different texture or a different hue of blue. Much more brilliant than anything here. These colors are, you know, when you see colors, it's like a 2D, and then you see really brilliant colors, and they really pop out. So imagine that really, like, popping out, almost like, again, more of a 3D effect. So, and, you know, in the Jewish religion, they talk about that blue heavenly space. So, anything specific with you? Your neck seems to have a lot of issues here. And then you're always, seems like, burdened by a lot of things. It's like, do you hold on to, or do you have people come to you with their issues? Or do you just seem like you hold on, or you take care of other people's issues for them? A little bit? No, I think it's a lot, actually. You're just not, especially with your family, but you think it's the way it should be. Yeah, but it's really not true. So that's, if you want, we can let go of that. And then you'll start to see, yeah, because that burdening or that thing that I see around your neck, it affects your other life, not just your family life. You know what I mean? Or the way you've raised. So, and you'll see what I mean. So, other questions? Yes?
So, what would be one of the main messages you think would be good for us to take away today?
Your main message is you are perfect where you are. Okay? A lot of us, you know, especially if you want to, say, move away from where you are. Okay? Start to understand that you created this level of where you are at some level. Okay? Your physical experiences that you're having, no matter how bad or no matter how good it is, okay, you've created it or you've brought it along from, say, family values, okay? So you might have not created it consciously. And that's why I say, like, a lot of times people connect to their spirit, and their spirit isn't as pure. And that's why, you know, we live the life that you are. But once you start to understand where you are, okay, you don't have to like it. You know, if you're mad about where you are, just really understand that. Really get into your madness or your anger, whatever it might be. And then you'll actually start to open up and you'll become aware of where you are. And then you'll get signs on how to, say, exit or become familiar. And then that's where that abundance starts coming through. How are you feeling? Yeah. Good? Yeah, good. You're welcome. Anybody else that's kind of new? You want to come on? Yeah, you come on. Well, whoever. Whatever. So, again, it's really, you know, people go, and people, you know, if you go to my website, there's tons of testimonials on, you know, like, and again, I'm not saying I cure anything, but there's tons of testimonials on, like, say, cancers getting cured and all that stuff. You know, how does that happen? It really happens by becoming aware of who you are, and then your spirit starts to awaken, because that's where I'm working. I'm not really working at your physical level, and that's the energy systems that a lot of people know that work on, okay? And I can explain that right now. You know, you have your physical energy systems, and that's where, like, Western medicine, chiropractics, surgeries, foods, all that stuff kind of get affected, right? Then you go up into that mid-level, and that's where your auric fields are, that's where your psychics are, that's where your intuitives, your energy medicines, your auras, all that stuff. And then there's a couple of layers in between, and then you cross that bridge into, like, your spiritual side, okay? And then that's where you have your spiritual energy systems, and that's where I work. Sometimes you might see me, like, move my hands and all that. I'm not moving energy around. It's actually like a 3D or a three-dimensional type programming. You know, before I used to use a mouse and a computer, you know, to program. Now I just program people, so in a 3D language, that's all. So, other questions? Yes, we can. I can actually. Yeah, why don't we do that for the remainder? Does that sound good? That's a good question. Yeah. Sure. Huh? Say that again, hon. I'm sorry. I have, but I choose. I mean, because, you know, usually people are drawn towards me that need help, you know? So normally I don't do that. I don't do mass healing for the earth, because I really don't believe. You know, if we start to improve ourselves, you know, the earth will be taken care of, you know? So there's some personal stuff that don't need to talk about, but let's get rid of that stuff. That's all good. You actually start to see more of awakening of life, being happy for you, if that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, because you're happy, but you're not really, really happy inside. Do you know what I mean? It's like you force yourself. There's that little box for you that we can remove, and then I'll open up your chest space and stuff, and your lungs. The lower part of your lungs seem to be dirty. So we can get rid of that, or help you start opening up. There we go. Again, guys, why don't we do? I'll answer one more question, and then we'll do a mass deal. Again, there's a couple ways I help you, say, heal yourself or help you transform. One, I help you change your frequency, and then you naturally start coming into whatever you need. And in this case, again, like I said, again, I don't cure cancers or anything, but like stage 4 cancer tumors have, like, disappeared, just like in 3-4 days, just like boom, they're gone. So how does that happen? I don't know. I just know it's happened to people. And then 2, what happens is I help you change your frequency, and then you run into, you know, the right people, places, things, remedies, whatever it might be, because you need a physical experience, you know, to change your life. So either way, you have to change that underlying frequency that happens for you. Yes?
The frequency is changed, is it changed forever, or can it go back again?
Most of the time, although what happens is, you have like a pain body that affects you. So yes, they're changed. You'll never go back to where you originally were. You can never go back, because once you open up to, that connection, you don't want to go back. It does take some people maybe a little longer, because they have those, say, bad habits, those habits that bring them back. But once you understand that, and again, some people actually shift. Who's that lady that came? That lady. She said I just touched her the last time I was here, and then a lot of her, what was it? Yeah, balance and all of these other issues just like disappeared for her. So it only takes maybe a touch or whatever. Some people, maybe it takes a little longer, because they tend to hold on to their stuff longer. So, but most of the time I do bypass, say, the belief systems that people have, So although it might take a little longer. So let's stand up if you can physically stand up, or if you want to sit down, you can do that as well. I'll just kind of walk around and just work on people, to kind of touch people. We'll do about 10 minutes. Is that about it? Okay. About 10 minutes of meditation. If you need to sit down during that time, that's fine. No worries there. And again, there's thousands of different ways of meditating. This actually brings your spirit into your body, so you're happy 24/7 rather than just the time you're meditating. So with that in mind, your eyes open or closed, doesn't really matter. Okay, just start becoming aware of where you are, whether you're standing, sitting, and if you want, you can lie down too. Whether you've got socks on, shoes on, just kind of notice what you're standing, sitting, standing, lying down on. All right, let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. Start to initiate that process of becoming present. Okay, becoming aware of where we are, knowing where we are. Time of day, about 11:15. Let's go ahead and take a nice, beautiful breath in. This time acknowledging the group dynamics. Right? A lot of people, just like group prayer, group healing, there's mass, there's power, there's momentum in numbers. So let's take advantage of that opportunity, connect with that, create that mastermind, so we can go further, faster. Inhaling through the nose again, nice and deep. Again, whether your eyes are open or closed, doesn't really matter. And then exhaling, asking that question, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? Okay. And again, I'm going to be walking around the room, working on you. So if you feel somebody touching you, it's probably me. All right? So with that in mind, again, noting your breath, noticing, again, how you're standing. And for most of you, actually, doing okay? Yeah. Probably feeling a little different, a little more relaxed. Start from the top of the head on the exhale, and just noticing your top of your head, your forehead, your face, back of the head, all the way down. Relaxing that jaw. If you want to focus on, say, a specific item that you want to shift or change, go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in, whatever it might be, right? Finances, security, physical issues, whatever, again, it is, relationships. Just got to focus on what you'd like to have, okay? And then focus in on not having it, okay, or not coming true. You can kind of notice those emotions. I would say that loss of something that you haven't had or don't have. And then we'll come back to that scenario. Okay? Again, notice the feeling of having it and not having it. For some, it might be the pit of their groin, issue, that lost feeling, might be in the heart space. Wherever it might be, note that as well. Let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. And as we exhale, letting go. Coming into the neck, throat area. Just realizing that you do have physical form. Although we think we have physical form, we know that we have physical form, but how many times have you actually paid attention to your body, right? So starting to notice your shoulders, all the way down the upper muscles of the arm, elbows, forearms, the wrists, the hands, fingers, fingertips, all the way down. Perhaps feeling a tingle. On your fingertips. If your mind starts to wander, it's all right. Just kind of note that it's wandering. If you want, you can bring it back to the fingertips as we inhale again. Yeah, nice and deep. And as we let go, exhale. Dropping into the chest area, heart and lungs, the ribs. Solar plex area. Let's get rid of that feeling of death. Just noticing where you are. Again, forgetting about everything. So I continue to work on you. So it's more than just a meditation. Call it a meta healing. Where you focus in on your body, right? Coming into the present moment. That's why we focus in on your body. And then I work on the back end level or admin level. Together we combine, and that's where you get that massive transformation that people have had. Supplements. And when you feel like you can't hold it anymore, just hold it for a little longer as we exhale. Going into the mid-back, lower back, digestive organs. We'll hang out here for a little longer time. As I can work on that area for you, including the spine. Let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. Acknowledging where you are again. And then exhaling, letting go. Going into the groin, the hips, the butt, the tailbone. We'll adjust those hips. Finishing off the body, breathing in beautifully deep. exhaling, letting go. Coming into the legs, thighs, the knees, the shins, the calves, the ankles. Right through the feet, letting go of anything through the bottoms of the feet if you would like. And then coming back around, noticing your breath on the inhale again. Again, as you were working on your form, noticing your form, you're working on the back end at mid-level, bringing in whatever, say, you might have needed or wanted, coming back into whatever that goal or intention was for you. Just bring that back into the picture. You can notice how it might feel different for you this time around, having it and not having it. I think for the most part, most people actually, say a high percentage, 80, 90%, feeling different about, say, that intention that was set. Again, you start changing those internal frequencies at a spirit level, and then your physical desires start coming into reality for you. So, as we end, breathing in beautifully deep, and exhaling, letting go. I got you. Going into this time even more, opening your eyes whenever you're ready. Feeling a little relaxed, refreshed, maybe a little distorted, disoriented. That's good too. You guys can sit down, stretch, whatever you need to do. How are you guys feeling? Does anybody want to share any experiences or probably much different than your normal meditation that you do? Yeah? Be thankful for what we have. Not really grateful. Grateful, there's always a sense of like trying to give back, or you're subjective to something, right? But being thankful, because it just finalizes it, that you're thankful for the gifts that you've been given, no matter what it is. Just the experience of being here in life, physical form, is a huge undertaking and huge gift actually for us. Once we start to become aware of that gift, and connecting is really as simple as noticing time. Best way to notice time is to notice your body. So when you're driving, notice the way you're sitting. When you're texting, notice your fingers. Whatever it might be, again, notice what your body's doing. Start to appreciate it more, you'll get healthier, and then in no time, whatever abundance that you need will amazingly show up for you, okay? There we go. Are we good? You guys feeling? Thank you.